Hello friends, today's topic of discussion is intersymbol interference. In telecommunication, ISI, which is known as the intersymbol interference, is a form of distortion of a signal in which one symbol interferes with subsequent symbols. This is an unwanted phenomenon as the previous symbols have similar effect as noise, thus making the communication less reliable. The spreading of the pulse beyond its allotted time interval causes it to interfere with neighboring pulses. It is usually caused by multipath propagation of the inherent linear or non-linear frequency response of communication channel, causing successive symbols to blur together. If the transmission channel is band limited, then high frequency components will be cut off. Hence, the pulses will spread out. If the pulses spread out into the adjacent symbol periods, then it is said that ISI has occurred, that is intersymbol interference has occurred. And it is when a pulse spreads out in such a way that it interferes with adjacent pulses at a sample instant. So if the rectangular multi-level pulses are filtered improperly as they pass through a communication system, they will spread in time and the pulse for each symbol may be smeared into adjacent time slots and causes ISI. So here we can see that is the signals are interfered over here. So individual pulse responses and received waveform will be look like this. In communication system, when the data is being transmitted in the form of pulses, the output produced at the receiver due to the other bits or symbols interferes with the output produced by the desired bit. This is called as the ISI, and the ISI will introduce errors in detected signals. In the system, the elements of baseband binary PAM system, the input consists of binary data sequence over here, that is BK, with a bit duration TB. This sequence is applied to a pulse generator to produce a discrete PAM signal where V of t, that denotes a basic pulse, normalized such at V of 0 is equal to 1. The first block of the system, that is pulse amplitude modulator, converts this input sequence into polar form, that is 1 and minus 1. The PAM signal x of t is then passed through a transmitting filter. The output of the transmitting filter is then transmitted over a transmission channel. The impulse response of the channel is h of t, and a random signal is then added to a transmitted signal when it travels over a transmission channel. Thus, a signal received at the receiving end is contaminated with a noise. So here, for example, we have considered white Gaussian noise. So noisy signal will be received at the receiver input over here. The channel output is passed through a receiving filter. This filter output is sampled synchronously with the transmitter. The sampling instants. The sampling instants are determined by a clock or timing signal which is extracted from the receiving filter output. The sequence of samples obtained at the output of receiving filter is used to reconstruct the original data sequence with the help of decision making device. So this is the decision making device. Each sample is compared at this stage to a threshold level. We can see threshold which is given to this decision device in the decision making device. If the amplitude of the sample is higher than the threshold level, then it is decided that the output symbol is 1 is received. On the other hand, if the input signal has an amplitude lower than this threshold, then it is considered as a 0 is received. So this is baseband binary data transmission system. So into this, actually we can observe the ISI. If the signals are, it will increase the pulse width duration, that is TB. The transmitted pulse duration TB seconds and the dispersed pulse duration more than TB seconds. If it is, then ISI will be occurred. So what are the causes of ISI basically? We can see time inaccuracies, insufficient bandwidth, amplitude distortion and phase distortion. So timing inaccuracies. The first one, that is timing inaccuracies. Here we can find out the ISI will take place if the transmitter rate of transmission is not same as the ringing frequency of the given channel. Then the second cause, that is insufficient bandwidth. If the transmission rate is less than the channel bandwidth, then there is a very small possibility of timing errors. But if the channel bandwidth is reduced, then the possibility of timing error will increase and the possibility of ISI also will increase. In the third one, that is amplitude distortion, generally filters are used in communication system in order to band limit the signals and to reduce the noise. But the frequency response of the communication channel cannot be predicted absolutely when the frequency characteristic of communication channel differs from the expected one. The pulse distortion is likely to take place. The pulse distortion results in reduction of peaks of the pulses, that is amplitude distortion. In order to compensate for this, we have to use amplitude equalization. The fourth cause is phase distortion. As the name suggests, if various frequency components in the input pulse undergo different amounts of time delay while traveling through the channel, then the phase distortion is bound to take place. This will cause the ISI. Spatial delay equalizers are used, or they are required to be used to reduce the phase distortion and associated ISI also. Now, remedies to reduce the ISI. It has been proved that the function which produces a zero ISI is a sync pulse. Thus, instead of a rectangular pulse, if we transmit a sync pulse, then ISI can be reduced to zero. This is known as a Nyquist pulse shaping. The sync pulse transmitted to have a zero ISI, it is shown in figure. That is ideal pulse shape for zero ISI. Shape of the input for zero ISI is a sync shape that already we know. Now, we know that the Fourier transform of a sync pulse. Here you can find out a rectangular function. Hence, to preserve all the frequency components, the frequency response of the filter must be exactly flat in the pass band and zero in the attenuation band here. So here we can see a frequency response of the filter with flat pass band and then zero attenuation band over here. This type of filter is practically not present. Obviously, we can find out even though we are using low pass filters or any other filters. Ideally and practically, there is so much difference in the frequency response. So here we can find out the practical filter characteristics. So in the graph we can find out this is a typical type of filter, practically not present, this one. Hence practically the frequency response of the filter, it is modified with alpha, whereas alpha is a different role of factor. It is to obtain the achievable filter response curves. So for different values of different role of factors, that is alpha, it is given the practical filter characteristics. For alpha is equal to 1, for 0 and alpha is equal to 1 by 2. Now we can see that if we want to observe the ISI, or we can say I pattern, basically I pattern is a pattern displayed on the screen of a CRO. The shape of the pattern resembles with the shape of human eye. Therefore, it is called as the eye pattern. The eye pattern is practical way to study the ISI. So, if you want to study ISI, you need to observe eye pattern with the help of CRO, and it affects on the PCM or data communication system. Eye pattern is obtained on the CRO, but for this we need to do some connections over here. We need by applying a received signal to the vertical deflection plates, that is Y of the CRO, and sawtooth wave. We need to connect a sawtooth wave which is with the rate 1 by TB to the X channel over here, to the horizontal deflection plates. Now, the received signal, digital signal, and the corresponding oscilloscope displays are here. They are shown, that is here this is your binary digital signal, and I pattern on the CRO, it looks like this. We can see here I is open or opening of I. The resulting oscilloscope display the pattern which is known as the I pattern, and this is due to the its resemblance to the human eye. So if we want to observe ISI, or if you want to study the ISI, you need to find out and you need to display the I pattern. Whereas your distorted binary wave should be applied to the CRO and sawtooth wave to be applied at the X channel of the CRO, so that it will display the I pattern on the CRO. So this is for 1 bit duration, that is TB, you can say. This interior of the I pattern, it is called as a eye opening. The eye pattern provides a great deal of information about the performance of the system, and the information obtainable, we can obtain that by interpretation of the eye pattern. So we'll just start with this interpretation of eye pattern over here. Here we can see the noise over margin over noise, the best sampling time, distortion at sampling time, then the slope, the time interval over which the wave can be sampled, that is TB, and the distortion of crossing over. The width of the eye opening defines the time interval over which the received wave can be sampled without an error due to ISI. The best time for sampling is when the eye is open widest. The sensitivity of the system to the timing error is determined by the rate of closure of the eyes as the sampling rate is varied. The height of the eye opening at a specified sampling in time defines the margin over noise. When the effect of ISI is severe, the eye is completely closed, and it is impossible to avoid errors due to the combined presence of ISI and noise in the system. It shows combined effect of all the impairments on overall system performance. It is defined as the synchronized superposition of all possible realization of the signal of interest viewed within a particular signaling rate. The eye pattern provides a great deal of useful information about the performance of data transmission. Thank you.